Hi, welcome back. That was a lot of fun on the opening there. I hope you had a good time with that as well. So now that we feel a little more relaxed, now we can start getting into what this whole thing about singing is about. All right. Also, if you want to know more about me, you can, in the book, I do cover a little bit about what I've done, and you'll be able to read all about it there. I didn't want to just regurgitate it here on video. And here, again, I'm not reading from a teleprompter. This is just you and I, or you and me. Most times I hear you and me. Anyway, let's get started. So the first thing that we are going to cover now is every baseball player, every boxer, every Jeet Kundoer, if that's even a word, has a stance from where they begin their sport or their art. Yeah, well, guess what? The same thing applies to a singer. Oh yeah, years ago I was like, what? Am I going to really worry about a stance in my singing? I mean, mind you, I went from singing, rock and roll type music, all original music, touring with my band that I had in my earlier days. Yes, I even had that long, free-flowing hair. Hopefully someday I'll get it back. Anyway, so I went from that, and then I went into started studying the classical technique at the New England Conservatory. Actually, I started more in the Nassau Community College, is where I started actually. And that's where I was being exposed to Italian arias, German arias, French arias, all this kind of stuff. Art songs, I'm like, what is this? I mean, mind you, I came from singing Beatlesque, Hall & Oates, that kind of an era of music. And coming into that, whoa. But you know what? I'm glad I didn't resist. That's the key word there, resist. Yeah, singing and learning how to sing can cause a person to want to resist. Yeah. Singing's very vulnerable. Think about it. Do we really want people to hear us crack when we're practicing? No, not really. Yeah, it can make us feel uncomfortable sometimes too when we're singing. Yeah, when we're not doing so great with it. Yeah. Well, I know exactly how that feels. I don't talk to you from a textbook. I physically know what that feels like, and it's not the greatest feeling in the world. But over the last 30 years, I've been working hard at it, and I know I've created a system in the art of singing that works, and it's step by step. I'm not going to throw a whole bunch of information at you. I'm going to show you and demonstrate. As you're reading along with the book, you're seeing now, you can click on that link, which takes you here to the demonstration. So now let's get back to this for a second. So in our stance, so I said every baseball player, boxer, in our stance, we must begin our singing posture as well. Yeah, absolutely. What did I care about a posture? I didn't care about my stance and everything. And what I mean is this, and I'm going to actually stop the video here for a second, and then we're going to get a close-up of my feet so I can show you and begin what the stance looks like. Okay, so yes, you can't see my face or anything. Here I am. It's really me. Okay, so look, in my stance, if I stand like this where my feet are parallel, guess what? I don't have the greatest posture in the world. Absolutely not. How do I know that? Because I know. What happens is, you start teetering. See, my balance, I don't really have any balance. So it's interesting that Caruso mentioned, Enrico Caruso in the early 1900s, he mentioned that he would take one foot and advance one foot as if he was taking a step. You see that? This right here creates amazing balance and posture. I'm well girded here. If you tried to push me over, you're going to have a harder time. Which is interesting because in Jeet Kune Do, that's how the stance is. See that? The stance isn't like this. I get knocked over in a heartbeat. So this is where, now I'm not saying, I did the stance though long before I got into Jeet Kune Do, but it is coincidental that Jeet Kune Do also has 1 foot forward, and same thing with the boxer, right? In Western boxing, right? It's the same thing. So now for the singer, this is how we're to stand. Now, at first you're going to feel like you're a little boxed in, but don't worry, because we're going to come out of that box. You won't feel so restricted. You will come out of it. I promise you, you will. You will not be held in bondage to holding this stance, and like I've seen this before, like people are like this and like, I got to hold this stance. No, we're not going to do that. You're going to feel much better, okay? So now we're going to talk about, now that you saw that stance, we're going to talk about posture. Yeah, that's a good cup of coffee. Seldom will you find this Cuban without a cup of coffee. So, you want to get on my good side? Bring me a cup of coffee. Yeah. All right, so now, we got to talk about our posture, right? Posture is very important. Yeah, it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, hold on a second. Yeah, I know, caffeine dries us out, so you better be drinking at least half your weight in ounces in water a day. Yeah, at least. Summer, you'd want to add a little more to that. All right, hold on a second, because we got to do posture here, so don't turn that off. I'll be right back. Hold on a second. You can still hear me. All right. I'm coming. All right. Don't get impatient. I'm coming. I'm right here. Okay, now. Posture. Yes, posture is a big thing now, because I don't want to do this, and I want to make sure that I'm not hunched over like this, and we're going to find out why when we get to the breathing part. This is my favorite subject. The breathing part. I'll explain why this is important not to do this. So, what we want to do is we want to hold now the chest region I call power source. So in the power source region, I want to keep it nicely elevated. All right. So again, now I have one foot a little advanced of the other, like you saw it before, and I have my power source nicely elevated. Now, not to the point where you feel like stuck and bottlenecked, comfortably. All right. Look, when we get older, we want to make sure when we get into our elderly age, I don't want to be here. Okay, now, that's not to say some of us will get ailments, unfortunately, and things like that do happen. But if we're trying to stay relatively healthy in our younger years, I want my posture here now. Because if my posture is here now, then my posture is going to be about here. Hopefully when I reach 80 or whatever. If I'm here now, I'm going to be here. I don't want to be here. I don't want you to be there. This actually promotes healthier oxygen throughout the blood. I'm not crunching down on certain muscle groups that are important to the singing process, which we'll get to in just a little bit. So as you can see, power source is nicely elevated, standing firm, one foot a little advanced of the other. That is where I always return to. No matter how much performing I did, no matter what character I was playing, I always came back to my stance. Now I get it. Depending on what you're doing, if you're on Broadway or opera, or whatever it is that you're doing, rock. If you're playing a character and you have to do this, well, I get it. You make adjustments when you're doing that. You find moments that you can get back to a decent posture. Enough said. So as you can see, it is important that you have a good stance and you have excellent posture. Okay, so you always know too, if you ever have any questions, you can email me. info@vocalproductionstudios.com. I usually answer pretty quickly. Yeah. Okay, so that's it for stance and posture. It is that important. That's why I keep stressing it. Again, years ago I was like, what do I need to worry about? If it was good enough for Enrico Caruso, it most certainly is good enough for me and you.